Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 12th of February of 2026. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about some massive missile and drone strikes that took place between Russia and Ukraine between the 11th and the 12th of February of 2026. The Russians attacked objects of energy infrastructure on the territory of Ukraine. The Ukrainians were attacking objects of energy infrastructure and military facilities. This morning, the Minister of Defense of Ukraine published this article, and according to this picture, the Russians used 244 air vehicles to attack Ukraine, including 219 drones and 24 Iskander missiles. Later, several Western experts published their maps. According to these maps, we can see the approximate routes of Iskander strike, and according to this picture, the Russians attacked the Pridniprovsk power plant using by at least 11 Iskander missiles. The Russians attacked Kiev's power station number 5, number 4 and number 6, and in total the Russians used 5 Iskander missiles to attack these objects. And this morning we received lots of updates about the situation with energy infrastructure. Today the mayor of Kiev stated that more than 3,700 apartment buildings in Kiev were left without heat after the overnight strike. Also, he stated that of these, 2,006 buildings are in Dniesnyansky, Dniprovsky, Pechenezhsky and Solomyansky districts. Furthermore, 1,100 buildings in the Dniesnyansky and Dnipropetrovsky districts are without heat due to the consequences of previous attacks. So as you can see, the Ukrainians haven't managed to stabilize the situation, and the Russians attacked the theater of the city of Kiev once again. As for the previous night, we received several videos where we can see how exactly the Russians were attacking the city of Kiev. In this video, we can see how a civilian was filming the situation outside his house, outside his building, and right at this moment we can see how the Russians attacked the power station number 4, most likely. So this is, as you can see from this angle, we can see the power station itself, and a second later we can see a very heavy explosion in this area. Once again, the Russians used up to 5 Iskander missiles to attack the city of Kiev, and now we see that civilians and the authorities of Kiev suffer huge problems with the situation in electricity and heat. Also, the Russians attacked the city of Odessa. According to locals, the Russians attacked another object of energy infrastructure, and after the attack, power outages occurred on the territory of the city. When talking about the Ukrainian side, as of the end of the 12th of February of 2026, we know about 3 targets that Ukrainians were trying to hit. As for the Minister of Defense of the Russian Federation, they stated that during the previous night, the Russians brought down 24 drones over Belgorod region, 21 drones over Bryansk region, 19 drones over Voronezh region. In total, the Russians destroyed 106 drones of the armed forces of Ukraine. And during the night, we received lots of updates on the targets. The Ukrainians attacked the territory around the settlement by the name of Kotlubany. So this ammo depot was attacked by the armed forces of Ukraine, and this video was published this night. In this video we can see explosions. So most likely the Ukrainians managed to hit this warehouse. Maybe there was a secondary detonation. Furthermore, according to information we have, the Ukrainians attacked this territory with the Flamingo cruise missiles. So this is a very important area, and this is not something, let's say, unnecessary or not important for the Russians. I would like to remind you that the Russians have the Kapustin Yar launching site in this area, test site, and during the day we received at least 2 reports that the Russians were planning to attack Ukraine with Oreshnik missiles, but for some reason the Russians didn't do this. So as you can see, the Ukrainians were attacking ammo depot, this ammo depot that is located very close to the Kapustin Yar test site. Maybe the Russians have some parts or some equipment on the territory of this warehouse to use them, let's say, for the Oreshnik missile attack purposes. Who knows? But that was a very dangerous attack from the Ukrainian side. Another place that was attacked by the armed forces of Ukraine is located on the territory of the Tambov region. This time, the Ukrainians attacked this plant, this industrial zone. This is the Progress plant, and according to the intelligence of Ukraine, the Russians used this plant to produce equipment for Ha-101 missiles. And as you know, the Russians use Ha-101 missile to attack Ukraine during every single attack with missiles using the strategic aviation. And the third attack carried out by the Ukrainians took place in the very northern parts of the Russian Federation, in the area of the city by the name of Ukhta. And here we can see lots of videos, lots of geolocations that were published by locals. Here we can see the consequences of attack. The Ukrainians were using Luty drone to attack this oil refinery, and as you can see, as a result of attack, smoke occurred, so which means that Ukrainians managed to deal damage. In this video we can see exactly the moments when the Ukrainian drone attacked this oil refinery. And right after these attacks on objects of Russian infrastructure ended from the Ukrainian side, the Russians began playing with the Oreshnik test, with the Kapustin Yar test site. Once again, during the previous 24 hours, we received at least 2 reports or 2 warnings that the Russians either launched the Oreshnik system or were planning to do this. But all in all, the Russians didn't launch anything. The pro-Ukrainian sources reported that there was something like military exercises carried out by the Russians, but at the same time, we received a report that from 16th of February to the 19th of February, the airspace at the Kapustin Yar test site located in the village of Znamensk will be closed, which means that during this period of time between the 16th and the 19th of February of 2026, the Russians may attack the territory of Ukraine with the Oreshnik missile system. Another important thing, during the day we received a very interesting update from the city of Kiev. Today we had a report that less than 50% of deputies of Verkhovna Rada came to the Verkhovna Rada, and the sources reported that most of the deputies refused to go to work because they had some problems with their stomachs. So you know that to combine these 2 updates about tests and military exercises around Kapustin Yar and this situation with deputies on the territory of the city of Kiev, it seems that maybe somebody told them that the Russians would attack the Verkhovna Rada, so that is why they refused to go to their jobs. So everything is possible, because you know that these strikes are taking place at the same time, during the same period of time when several assassination attempts were recorded on the territory of the city of Moscow, and now we have updates from the Russian side that those assassinations were prepared by SBU, by Special Forces of Ukraine. So that is why I'm not surprised that the Russians decided to play with the Oreshnik system with the purpose to see what is going to happen in the city of Kiev, and of course what is going to happen with Zelensky and with the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine. At the same time, we received a report that Zelensky refused to have talks with the Russian Federation on the territory of Moscow or on the territory of the Republic of Belarus. I cannot come to Moscow for talks with Putin. We are ready to support proposals from the US, America to meet anywhere in America, Europe, or neutral country, any country except Russia and Belarus. At the same time, the Kremlin stated that if talks between Russia and Ukraine happens, if talks between Putin and Zelensky happens, these talks would take place first of all on the territory of Moscow. So as you can see, we have 2 different positions, 2 different understanding of the situation between the Russian Federation and Ukraine, between Putin and Zelensky. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation on the ground. During the previous 24 hours, lots of interesting changes were recorded. And first let's talk about the Zaporozhye direction. As of the changes on the ground in Ukrainian favor during the previous 24 hours, nothing has been recorded. So it seems that either the Ukrainians are regrouping, or they're waiting for additional orders, or there are very heavy clashes right now, or Ukrainians are exhausted after very heavy clashes with the Russians that took place during the previous days. But at the same time, despite complete absence of any updates from additional progress on the ground for the Ukrainian side, we start receiving lots of updates from the Oreshnik direction. So as you can see, during the previous 48 hours, we received the biggest number of updates exactly in this area. So the biggest number of updates are coming exactly from this territory, from the Oreshnik direction, not from the western Zaporozhye direction, not from the eastern Zaporozhye direction, but from the Oreshnik direction. It seems that the Russians have launched their offensive operation in this area with the purpose maybe to break through Ukraine's defense in the city of Oreshnik and to answer the city itself, at least from 3 directions, or maybe the Russians are trying to distract the Ukrainian attention from the both eastern and the western Zaporozhye direction, and to force the Ukrainians and the commander-in-chief of the armored forces Ukraine Syrsky to redeploy forces back in the direction of the city of Oreshnik with the purpose to stabilize the situation and not to allow to lose the city. As for the previous 24-48 hours, we received lots of updates, and for example in this video we can see how Russians were attacking the city of Oreshnik with multiple launch rocket systems. As you can see, the Russians were bombing the city of Oreshnik heavily, so lots of rockets, lots of explosions were recorded. Another video took place a bit further in the central part of the city. Here we can see how Russians were bombing the city of Oreshnik with aviation. Most likely the Russians were trying to destroy temporary deployment points of the armored forces of Ukraine. In this video, we can see a few more temporary deployment points of the armored forces of Ukraine that were attacked with Krasnopol rounds or something like this. So based on these videos, we see that the Russians launched something like an artillery preparation before the beginning of the ground operation. So we believe that in coming hours and coming days, the Russians may try to attack the city of Oreshnik from the south with the purpose to improve positions significantly. But once again, just with one purpose: to force the Ukrainians to bring reinforcement back and to reduce the pressure along the river of Gaichur. And this is the most important moment, because now Syrsky needs to make a decision whether to sacrifice with the city of Oreshnik in favor of the foothold along the river of Gaichur, or to stop with the Ukraine's counter-offensive operation along the river of Gaichur and on the western flank of the city of Zaporozhye with the purpose to save the city of Oreshnik. We believe that in coming days we will understand everything. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Dobropolye direction. During the previous 12-24 hours, additional changes were recorded around the settlement of Belitske. These are the changes on the ground between the dates. We have a video where we can see how Ukrainians were attacking Russians along the railways between the settlement of Dorozhny and Rodinska. This attack took place right exactly at this point, and based on this video we came to the conclusion that the Russians continue offensive operation and that the Russians continue improving their positions around the settlement of Belitske. Most likely the major battle for the settlement hasn't been started yet, but most likely in coming days this battle will start. The city of Konstantinovka. During the previous 24 hours, we received just a few updates. So first of all, the Russians destroyed bridges along the river of Bakhmutka. The Russians are trying to cut the city of Konstantinovka into 4 separate parts: southern, eastern, northern, and the western. And it seems that today the Russians managed to complete this task. Furthermore, the Russians, according to information we have, entered the eastern part of the city of Konstantinovka. This information was provided by pro-Russian sources, but without changes on the ground. We are waiting for additional confirmation. The Slaviansk direction. During the previous 24 hours, the most intense battles took place along MO3 road, and as you can see, we have changes. This is the situation by the end of the 8th of February, this is the end of the 9th, this is the end of the 10th, this is the end of the 11th, and this is the end of the 12th of February of 2026. The Russians approached the last strongholds on the way to the city of Iskanders. We're talking about the territory around the village of Fedorovka Druga, including these huge forests. The Russians have already begun bombing and attacking first positions of the armed forces of Ukraine in this region, which means that the Russians most likely managed to consolidate their positions around this fortified area, and the battle for this region is about to start. Now let's discuss the situation in the Kupiansk direction. Lots of very interesting updates we received from this area, and the most important one is that the Russians during the previous 24 hours improved their positions around the settlement of Kivsharovka. This information was confirmed by pro-Ukrainian sources, and these are the changes on the ground between the dates. This is the end of the 9th of February, this is the end of the 10th of February, this is the 11th, and this is the 12th of February of 2026. The Russians, as you can see, have almost captured completely the territory to the east of the settlement of Kivsharovka, which means that most likely the Russians are about to establish complete control over this dense network of the fortifications. But we need to see that this is not the territory colored with red. These are just the territories that were colored as a gray zone, and today lots of sources, including pro-Ukrainian sources, confirmed that Russians improved their positions here significantly and that the Russians are keeping advancing further. It seems that the battle for the city of Kivsharovka and for the southern Kupiansk pocket is about to finish. Furthermore, we received this video, and this video is very interesting because here we can see that the river of Skol, as you can see, is frozen, and here we can see how soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine were trying to cross the river under very heavy fire of the Russian drones. So this is a very important video because we understand that until now the Ukrainians had possibilities during the previous 2 or 3 weeks to supply and support their contingent on the eastern bank of the river Oskol through the river, because the river was completely frozen. In coming weeks the situation will change and the Ukrainians will lose this possibility, because we are getting closer and closer to the spring of 2026 and to the spring military campaign. And that's it for today. Military Summary channel reminds we condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.